You're sitting on the couch. It's late. You're not doing anything particularly interesting, maybe staring at your phone or just zoning out after a long day. And across the room, your dog is watching you. Not wagging, not whining, not asking for anything, just watching. There's that low hum of the TV in the background. And if you actually pay attention, you'll notice it. The slow blink, the almost imperceptible shift of weight from one front paw to the other. A quiet, completely unsolicited assessment. And here's the part nobody tells you. Your dog formed a working opinion of you within the first few weeks of living with you. And they've been quietly updating it ever since. There's one specific moment your dog reevaluates you completely. Most owners never see it coming. We'll get there. Most people operate on a comfortable default. Their dog wags when they walk in, follows them from the kitchen to the bathroom, loses their mind at the sound of a leash. And the owner reads all of that as devotion, loyalty, maybe even admiration. It feels good. The problem is that interpretation collapses several completely different behavioral mechanisms into one emotionally convenient story. What your dog actually thinks about you is more complicated, more specific, and considerably more honest than most people are comfortable with. Dogs don't think about their owners in terms of love or loyalty in the abstract. What they maintain is a continuously updated behavioral profile, the actual variables being tracked, your predictability, your reliability under stress, your emotional consistency, and how stable your responses are when things go sideways. Dr. Alexander Horowitz's work at the Dog Cognition Lab at Barnard College has shown that dogs are extraordinarily sensitive to behavioral inconsistency, and they register it not as a mood, but as a reliability failure. So, are they judging us? Well, judgment implies a moral framework. They don't have that. But they absolutely have preferences, and those preferences are ruthlessly data-driven. Here's how the profile actually gets built. Weeks 1 and 2 are baseline data collection. Your tone of voice patterns, how fast you move, how hard you touch, how quickly you respond when they need something. Weeks 3 through 8 are stress response testing. How do you behave when something goes wrong? Do you get loud? Do you go cold? Research from the University of Vienna on dogs' long-term social memory shows they retain behavioral impressions of specific humans over months and actively adjust their interaction style based on what they've logged. The profile isn't static. It updates every time you do something unexpected in either direction. And here's the uncomfortable data point. Dogs demonstrably alter their behavior toward their owners after witnessing a reliability failure. The dog who used to rush the door when you came home now hangs back slightly. The dog who slept pressed against you now sleeps adjacent. Close, but not touching. You probably wrote it off as a phase. It wasn't. A 2017 study from Kyoto University found that dogs actively avoid and lose trust in humans they've observed behaving deceptively, even once. One incident. Filed. Permanently. The cognitive process in your dog applies to you is categorically different from how they process a stranger. A stranger gets basic threat assessment, posture, smell, movement pattern. You get longitudinal pattern analysis. Your dog isn't deciding whether you're safe right now. They settled that months ago. What they're doing now is checking whether today's version of you matches the stored version. Consistency confirms the model. Deviation triggers a recalculation. I realize this makes it sound like your dog is running a spreadsheet on you, but functionally, that's not far off. Not all moments carry equal weight in the profile. High emotion events are anchor memories. The first thunderstorm you went through together, the first time they were sick and you were there, the first time you raised your voice. Research on canine emotional memory consolidation shows that stress hormones enhance memory encoding in dogs the same way they do in humans. Border Collies and Australian Shepherds, specifically, will log and return to these anchor events with unsettling persistence. They will measurably shift their behavior toward you weeks after a single incident, one bad morning, still in the file. Here's the complete inversion of the narrative. Dogs don't operate on unconditional positive regard. That's a human projection we've placed on them because it's comforting. What they operate on is conditional reliability modeling. They don't think you're perfect. They have a nuanced, experience-based read on exactly where you're consistent and where you fall apart. Your dog knows you lose it before guests arrive. They know you cut the walk short on Monday mornings. They have the receipts, they just can't show you. The 3 most trust-eroding behavioral patterns, according to behavioral science research: unpredictable punishment, same behavior from the dog, completely different response from you depending on your mood; false signals, repeatedly calling your dog for something unpleasant until the word come becomes a warning instead of an invitation; and emotional displacement, using your dog as a pressure valve when they've done absolutely nothing wrong. That last one is more common than anyone admits. Dr. James Serpell's research at the University of Pennsylvania directly links owner-dog relationship quality to the rate of behavioral problems in dogs. You can't separate how you show up from how they turn out. The most comforting myth in dog ownership is that dogs live entirely in the present, carry no grudges, and essentially reset every morning. For minor events, partially true. For high-impact ones, categorically false. The Kyoto University Deception Study alone dismantles the clean slate theory. Dogs retain negative behavioral impressions of specific people and act on them long-term. They don't brood, they don't have the rumination architecture we do, but they update the model. And that update doesn't automatically expire just because you had a good week. One of the more unsettling findings in recent canine cognition research is this: dogs distinguish between accidental harm and deliberate harm. A 2020 study from the Max Planck Institute showed that dogs respond differently to a person who couldn't give them something versus a person who chose not to, displaying avoidance and frustration only in the intentional condition. Your dog isn't just tracking what you do, they're making inferences about why you did it. Let that sit for a second. At a physiological level, before any sensory cue is present, before you've pulled into the driveway, before your key hits the lock, your dog is already preparing. Measurable cortisol drop. Oxytocin system priming. A 2015 fMRI study conducted on awake dogs by Dr. Gregory Burns at Emory University found that owner-associated scent activated the reward center more reliably than any other stimulus tested, including food, in some subjects. Your dog isn't just happy to see you. At a neurological level, you are the reward. Whether you've actually earned that status is a separate question entirely. Hold up 3 fingers, count these off visibly. If you want to improve your standing in the profile, these are behavioral steps, not motivational ones. 1. Audit your signals. For 1 week, every single time you call your dog, note what follows: pleasant, neutral, or unpleasant. If it's skewed toward unpleasant, you've been running an avoidance conditioning program and didn't know it. 2. Regulate what happens at the door. Point toward the front door. That threshold is the single highest impact behavioral stage in your dog's daily experience. What happens there writes large in the profile. 3. Follow through on the same rules consistently. Look deadpan into the camera. Not because your dog needs discipline, because your dog needs to be able to predict you. An unpredictable owner isn't a bad owner. They're an exhausting one. Consistency isn't strictness, it's respect. Now, back to the hook. The moment your dog reevaluates you completely, it's not a dramatic incident, it's not a blow-up or an accident. It's the first time they see you genuinely frightened, or overwhelmed, or broken down in a way you didn't plan, and they watch what you do next. Dogs don't downgrade owners for falling apart. The reevaluation is triggered by the crack, but it's resolved by the recovery. Do you regulate? Do you come back to baseline? Do you become yourself again? Your dog doesn't need you to be perfect. They need to know you can find your way back. That's the data point that updates everything. Steady, direct eye contact with camera. Think about the last time you were genuinely stressed in front of your dog. What did they do? Did they move closer, or did they quietly create a little distance? Drop that in the comments, because that single observation tells you more about your standing in their profile than anything else I could say. If something in this shifted how you see that relationship, hit like and subscribe, because next video we're getting into the specific things your dog is actively trying to communicate that you've been misreading your entire life.